I started reading Psalms out loud in 2021. I was reading the Bible like normal every day, just a couple of chapters a day, from beginning to end. And when I came to Psalms, I'm not sure why, but I just felt this overwhelming need to read it out loud and with emotion. And since then, I have never read it any other way. I wait until I'm alone in my home and I can just read it with all the emotion that I can muster. And I feel like maybe more people who really want to connect with God on a deeper level should do this. And not just with the Psalms, of course, but with prayer, praying out loud, having conversations with God. When you're angry, when you feel neglected or even betrayed, when you're mad at God, tell him about it. Of course, in a respectful way, but just tell him what is on your mind because he already knows everything that's in your heart. I have recently found myself really diving into my prayer time. I go in the bathroom. It's the only place that I have in here that's really closed in. I mean, the whole studio is very small, but I feel more confined. I feel like it's more private in our bathroom. There's not even a window in there. And even the walls echo. So it makes it sound even more pronounced because the walls are made of concrete bricks and everything echoes in there because it's such a small space. Even when I'm here by myself, I tend to go in the bathroom, shut the door, and I pray out loud to God. And I have conversation. Or I know he's not physically speaking back to me, but I know it's a conversation because I know he hears everything that I'm saying. He feels the emotion. And the emotion is the key here. When I pray that way, I really feel a connection to God. I feel that he is sitting right in front of me or right beside me, and his hand is on my shoulder. I just feel so much emotion and overwhelming sense of light. I'm able to really express everything that is on my heart. And like I said, he already knows everything, but when you speak it out loud, I think it gives it more life. And that going back to the Psalms really quick, the reason why when I started reading it out loud and I never stopped is because when I read the Psalms, I read it as if I am standing on a stage and the only audience is God. I'm filled with so much emotion and passion, and half the time, depending on which verse it is, if it's something that especially that applies to my life at that particular time, which there are a lot of passages, a lot of chapters that do tend to resonate with me very easily. I am so overwhelmed with emotion that I cry every single time, and it's just this passionate cry. And it's the same way when I pray out loud. And I've noticed that when I just pray in my mind, I close my eyes and I'm laying in the bed and I'm just praying to God before I go to sleep. Even though I mean everything that I'm saying, it never feels enough. I always feel like I'm lacking in my prayer and I feel guilty about it. I wonder, do I sound redundant? There are so many negative things go through my mind when I pray that way. But when I pray out loud with the emotion that I feel in the moment, whether it's a happy emotion or a distraught emotion, whatever emotion I'm feeling, if I let it out and place everything on God and let Him take care of it for me instead of me trying to take care of it and carry it myself, I feel such a connection. It's so very different than just praying a regular prayer or, a prayer that you pray every day and it just seems look robotic in nature. Those kinds of prayers, of course, it's good to pray no matter how you do it, but at the same time, if you start to feel like you're redundant or you're asking for stuff all the time, the key thing is if you're not really feeling like you're into it. If you don't feel like that your prayer has any real effect on your emotional state at the time, then it's probably not that great of a prayer. And, again, going back to the Psalms, why don't we do this more? Because in the Old Testament, God seemed to speak to everyone. And beyond the Bible, He does not speak to people that way anymore. There's so much connection with people in the Bible thousands of years ago. There is actual relationship with certain people and people that often prayed out loud, and people who also poured their heart out to God, even when they were angry with God or feeling like, why is this happening to me? Please help me understand. I'm angry. You can even say it. I am angry with you, Lord. I love you, but I am angry. And it's okay because God knows that we're going to get angry about things. It doesn't mean that you hate Him. It doesn't mean that you disown Him or that you no longer have faith. It's just a natural human emotion. As long as you approach it in a respectful way, and which is common sense. But I think we should do this more. Not just prayer out loud when we're at home alone in our quiet space, but also writing our own psalms. And they're so beautiful and full of emotion and passion. And every one of them was written because that person who wrote it was going through such trying times. I just feel like we should do that to just really connect. And I'm going to do that. I feel like I want to write my emotions out on paper. And I want to speak them to God so that even though He already knows what I'm going to write and what I'm going to say before I write or say it, there's something about doing it out loud that just gives it life. I wonder if more of us did this, if more people daily prayed out loud with such passion. I don't know, I just feel like it would be a wonderful thing and that things would happen. We would be more connected with God on a more personal level and a heart level instead of just walking around all the time, not really knowing if He hears us. I mean, we know He hears us, but you have to admit there's so many times where we wonder if He really is listening. We wonder if we've been abandoned. We wonder also, some of us, if He's even real. And then we feel guilty about that. And then we go back and forth. And I think a lot of that reason why we have so many doubts and why we're so discouraged in our faith is because we're not truly trying to connect with Him on a deep, personal, passionate, emotional level. We're just doing what we think we should do. We're just reading the Bible every day. We're just studying the Bible. We're just praying before meals and before bed and when we wake up in the morning. We go to church on Sunday, some of us 2 to 3 times a week. Some of us are even involved in the church. We're doing our good deeds, but we still feel like we're missing not just something, but the main thing. We feel like we're doing all of these things for the glory of God, and He's the only thing that's not there. That's how I feel so often. But when I pray out loud, or when I read the Psalms out loud, when I really get into how I'm feeling, and I genuinely sit down and I want to have a conversation, the emotion and everything, and the words, everything just flows out of me like water. And I can't turn it off. I can't stop until I get everything off of my heart and off of my shoulders and give it to Him. And then when I'm finished, I feel lighter. I feel different in a way that I really can't describe in words on a whim. But I feel better. And I feel, most importantly, more connected to God than I do at any other time. It doesn't matter what good deeds I do. It doesn't matter how kind I am to people. It doesn't matter how many times I read the Bible or go to church or watch sermons on YouTube. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters as much as when I have my alone time with God, with my voice and not just my thoughts. So that's all I have for today. May God bless you, your family, and your life.